Now, the rest of the story.
Well, can you tell it's dry? I'll let the dog out real quick, because if I don't, he'll let himself out. So here we are down at the valley. I think this is the first real update video down here. This is a low spot. The first year I took this back over, which I think was 3 years ago now, we were making ruts where we were dragging the undercarriage of the tractors with the mud, and we were taking bales out one at a time with the bale tines. And that isn't so much the case. We're dry. I don't know if we're in a dry pattern. The Wisconsin-Illinois border is on a, well, it is on the drought monitor, I think, for being mildly dry or something like that. But down here, for the most part, in the valley, water isn't very deep. And I think the biggest thing I'm fighting, hopefully it won't be bugs this year. I mean, send in an army of worms, you know. But the biggest thing I'm fighting being early spring, and I'm actually going to go back and rewatch my videos from last year. But it's cold. And to contradict myself, lack of moisture. So it's 65 degrees out and there's a chill in the air, which I don't think is really hurting this stuff at all. But this is Reed Canary, and this stuff should be, well, if I'm sitting on the four-wheeler, it's over my head. So I mean, this stuff's, well, it's got a ways to go. It's had the dry fertilizer. I only put on 150 pounds, 125 pounds. It was 150 pounds, I think, across the whole farm. And then I ended up running out the last, I think it was like 4 passes of the buggy. I ended up overlapping, going between my passes that I made, and ran the rest of the buggy out on this field. You can see it's got a little bit of yellow to it. I wholeheartedly believe it's not because of lack of fertilizer. I honestly believe it's because of the cold, and it stunted it to a certain degree. I mean, let's really think about this. I'd say that's frostbite. I don't know if you guys can see that. If it's focusing, there, how about now? Frostbite? You guys be the judge. It was a little over a week ago where I was waking up in the morning to get, Relina ready to go, and it was 27 degrees in the morning. So when this stuff starts coming up like it did, and we had that warm spell, so the grass started coming up, and then it got basically bit off, because we're in a low-lying area. The Mississippi River is literally just 2 hops that way, and we're not the lowest water valley. I mean, the next farm over is the lowest, closest to the river. But needless to say, without having to go into a whole big amount of detail, it's a low spot. It's a low-lying area. This whole farm is a low-lying area. The field ground that got interseeded last year, I had a bunch of winter kill. At least it's greening up, and the bare spots are growing in with something. I haven't gone over and checked it yet, but at least something should be there. The goal is to go through and lob off this whole farm and try to take 3 cuttings of 100% of everything 3 times. Just 3 cuttings 3 times. First cutting last year was only on 2/3 of the farm of this place, and I averaged 225 bales. Granted, I'm going to be making 65-inch bales versus the 60-inch bales, so a little bit more material in each of the bales means hopefully less bales but more material. So I'm gonna go that route, because they were coming in light last year. I was only getting like 1,250 1,250 pounds per bale, and that's not enough. I can go up to about 1,500 before I start seeing it reflect in the prices. I'm gonna start carrying my four-wheeler with me so I can come down here and do a more thorough check. But it is, I don't even think we are halfway through May, aren't we? It is the 20th of May. I was not planning on making this the 1st of June. I wasn't. But it's got to do a lot more growing than what it is before I'll get excited to do first cut. I think maybe about the 10th of June is really what I'll be looking at, which isn't the end of the world for me, largely because I haven't gone through any of the equipment. I mean, I gotta get the 76 gone through and cleaned up, and this fence right here, there's actually two fences. I mean, there's the good fence behind the wood posts there that Ryan and I came down here in December and took all the wires off. So all we got to do is go through and pull the posts on the end here and then go through and pull the stakes out. We got a stake puller to do that. It won't take too long. Okay, where was I? But this whole fence, there's two fences through there. Ryan and I did tear the wire out on the newer part back in December, and there's actually woven wire on this one. I'm just gonna wait till after first cut so I'm not damaging everything that's there. The ground is dry, that the low spots, that's what I really want to go and see, is what the low spots look like, because I mean, I'm kind of liking this, other than the fact that the row crops and the grass could be farther along, don't get me wrong, but the row crops and such could use a nice drink. But we go through and we'll tear these out. I'll tear that woven wire out, get the pallets, the grapple bucket, and I'll just wrap it up in a big wad. And then it'll make making this down here so much easier, because we can incorporate the bottom with the bench ground. I mean, even down there, I can come around the swamp area, the low-lying area, and go right up that hollow and right up on around. So it'll make it a lot easier. I mean, my Uncle Kevin, he made that comment when he was helping last year. I don't know if it was Kevin, maybe Dale too, or maybe both of them. You get down here and it seems like it's forever that way, especially when we have, you know, you're starting to make bales or cutting across and making bales and whatnot, and it just seems like it's going to take you forever. But we're actually getting set up better and better, if I haven't said it enough, where we can come down and make this in a hurry, which I've made it pretty clear over the years. You have to be able to get it done when it's ready to go, because the sooner you can get it done, the sooner the regrowth can come back, and it helps your bottom line. And that's that. So I'll probably wait a little bit, probably another week and a half, 2 weeks. We'll see what it looks like the 1st of June, and go from there. But I'd feel a lot better if it like doubles in height, which it could very well do if we get some more heat and moisture. But it's really uncommon. Let's walk over here real quick. There is a low spot. Actually, I think it's right there, right along the fence line, where even when I was spreading fertilizer, yeah, it's kind of part of it too. Ooh, it's a little soft. It's right up here, actually. Just look at it quick. But then if I can go through and make all that like 10-year-old, that's just a mat of, this is a perfectly good example of what some of the lower areas are looking like then. So this had water in it when I was spreading fertilizer, and as you can see, it is drying up, which isn't a super duper good thing, because it's only mid-May and the low spots are getting dry. But I'm sinking in probably the depth of the soles of my boots. But you give it another 2-3 weeks and come down, I should be able to cut right through it. And then by design, when I do cut hay, especially first cut with this heavy material and the ground is wet, I windrow it and I try to expose as much of the ground as possible before I ted it. Yes, I will ted it regardless. It helps that ground dry up that much more, so it'll carry the equipment. And then once all this matted material, it's like 10-15 years or so of material growth that just hasn't been dealt with, because how do you, when, I mean, you could start in, well, you can't even hardly start in down there, because it actually narrows up to where you can't even get a tractor in there. There's no gates or anything through here, so if you're letting the cattle in here, assuming there was cattle in here, to clean this up, but I think you're looking at, you could stand on it, and yeah, I think there's just like its own ecosystem that, yeah, I sink in pretty good. I go through, if I hit this with a brush cutter and kind of break it up and actually get it baled up and off of here, I'll use it for bedding. Cows will knock it around, make some fertilizer out of it. And it takes this ground and makes it look like that or that. So that's a pretty good feeling, actually. There's a lot of ground down here that looked just like this, and drier year has given me a lot of ability to really clean it up. I mean, there is even over here, I'm probably gonna have a hard time getting it made for first cut, but everything beyond my truck, it went from the gateway over to my truck, then probably 4 truck lengths beyond that, and then that way about, I don't know, 400 feet, it looked just like this. And the problem is, and especially that 4 or 5 acres I exposed on the lower end that is currently underwater, if you get a matted material like this and you just never get it cleaned up, I'm trying to utilize this dry weather to get it made up, get the matted material off of it, and then let the sun and the elements get exposed, the soil exposed to the elements, and it allows it to dry up where it can actually utilize it and do something with it. I mean, am I really gaining much other than convenience through here? I probably gained a bale. I mean, okay, probably about 2 swaths with the mower. It does come up to a triangle, but yeah, let's be generous and say I gained probably about a bale and a half if I could make all this, at least for first cut, maybe a bale for second and third, but it all adds up in the end, and the fence is completely useless because there won't be cattle down here basically ever again. And it's a pain in the butt having to farm around it. So with that, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching. For any more updates on how the rest of this year goes, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe for more.